San Mams, the Cathedral of Fire, has long been one of the most intimidating fortresses in European football. This is where Athletic Bilbao unleash their trademark high-intensity pressing, suffocating opponents until even the bravest begin to crack. On this stage, the Basques once again turned up the heat on their English visitors. But this wasn't just another Champions League night, it was a statement. Arsenal didn't just beat Athletic Bilbao, they showed Europe a new face. Disciplined, calculated, tactically mature. That maturity could be the difference between a team that entertains and a team that conquers. Because under Mikel Arteta, Arsenal didn't need to dominate possession or dazzle with flair from the first whistle. Instead, they bided their time, waited for the right moment, and then struck with two ruthless blows that silenced San Mams and secured a priceless victory. So how exactly did Arteta turn a night of pressure into one of triumph? Let's dive into the tactical blueprint. Arsenal lined up in their familiar 4-3-3, but Arteta was forced into key changes with several stars missing. David Raya stood between the posts, shielded by a back four of Timber, Mosquera, Gabriel, and Calafiori, a blend of aerial power and composure under pressure. In midfield, the trio of Declan Rice, Zubimendi, and Merino worked in perfect balance. Rice patrolled in front of the defense, snapping into duels and cutting off danger. Zubimendi orchestrated the tempo, recycling possession with calm precision. Merino provided the dynamism, a tireless box-to-box presence who pressed high and joined attacks when the chance arose. Up front, Victor Gyökeres led the line, flanked by Eze and Madueke, who stretched the Bilbao defense wide, dragging markers out of position. The selection spoke volumes about Arteta's intent. Without game-changers like Saka or Odegaard, he leaned on midfield control, trusting Zubimendi's distribution and the physical dominance of Rice and Merino to deny Oihan Sanset, Iñaki Williams, and their teammates the spaces they thrive on. Even the fullbacks played with discipline. Timber and Calafiori rarely surged forward at the same time, ensuring one always stayed back to guard against Bilbao's lightning transitions. The flow of the match told its own story. Arsenal may not have carved out many clear-cut chances in the first half, but they controlled the spaces far better. They kept more of the ball, while Bilbao's threat came mainly from long balls played in behind the defense. Yet Mosquera and Gabriel were alert, reading the danger superbly and cutting off Iñaki Williams' trademark sprints. That meant Bilbao's pressure was felt more in terms of physical intensity in midfield than genuine danger in the final third. Gradually, the tempo slowed. Arsenal dictated the rhythm with crisp passing and a disciplined mid-block pressing shape, keeping control while waiting for the right moment to strike. This patience would prove crucial, laying the platform for decisive second-half changes, while leaving the home side increasingly frustrated, unable to play at the furious tempo that usually defines them at San Mams. One of the night's biggest talking points was Arsenal's pressing structure and their transitions. These were the two key battlegrounds, because if there's one thing Bilbao are known for, it's their relentless high press and direct, vertical style. Arteta had clearly done his homework, and his plan worked to perfection. Instead of pressing high blindly, Arsenal pressed with purpose. Whenever Bilbao tried to build from the back, Gyökeres positioned himself to block the central passing lane, forcing the centre-backs wide. That was the trigger. Madueke or Eze would immediately close down the fullback, while Rice and Merino stepped up to lock down the midfield zone. It created a pressing trap on the flanks, leaving Bilbao with little choice but to hit hopeful long balls towards Williams. In midfield, Zubimendi played a subtle but vital role. He didn't charge forward recklessly. Instead, he held back half a step, reading the game and intercepting vertical passes. Thanks to him, attempts from Vesga or Sanset to pierce through Arsenal's block were consistently cut out. That's why, despite seeing more of the ball at times, Bilbao struggled to create a single dangerous chance in the first half. Their central combinations, usually their biggest weapon, were completely neutralized. Even more impressive was Arsenal's collective coordination. Pressing wasn't left to individuals, it was a synchronized effort. When one player stepped up, the others instantly tucked in, closing down space and denying short passing options. Bilbao were repeatedly forced into long balls or coughed-up possession inside their own half. It was a clear sign. Arsenal's pressing has matured. This was no longer just about energy and effort. It was a well-drilled system, executed with intelligence and precision. If pressing was Arsenal's defensive key, then transitions were Arteta's lethal weapon in attack. The biggest shift in their style this season has been the way they pounce on moments immediately after winning the ball. No more endless spells of possession. Instead, they look to strike within that golden 5 to 7 second window before the opponent can reorganize. It was written all over the opening goal. A misplaced Bilbao pass, a sharp recovery, and instantly the ball was fed to the left. On came Gabriel Martinelli, fresh off the bench, and with his raw pace and direct running, he cut inside to unbalance the defense. Leandro Trossard slipped in a perfectly weighted pass, and just 36 seconds after entering the pitch, Martinelli smashed home to give Arsenal the lead. It was the clearest example yet of Arteta's new transition philosophy away from home. Win the ball, turn quickly, and punish the gaps before the opponent can breathe. The second goal had the same DNA. Arsenal defended solidly, won possession in midfield, and immediately sprang wide. This time, Martinelli turned provider, threading the ball through for Trossard, whose clever movement put him through on goal. One cool finish later, and the Basques were floored. Both goals came from transitions, executed at lightning speed with ruthless precision. That was the essence, efficiency. Arsenal didn't need wave after wave of counterattacks. Just 2 moments, perfectly timed and perfectly executed, were enough to kill the contest. It showed that Arteta's side don't chase every turnover recklessly. Instead, they pick their moment, striking only when the opponent is stretched and vulnerable. And here's the beauty of it. Pressing and transition aren't 2 separate ideas. They're 2 sides of the same coin. Arsenal's structured press allowed them to win the ball in the right areas, and from those very moments, the counterattacks were born. In the second half, as Bilbao grew impatient and pushed their line higher, the spaces behind opened up, and Arsenal's transitions became even more devastating. Pressing gave them control of the ball. Transitions turned that control into chances. It was the perfect marriage of defense and attack, and proof of Arsenal's tactical evolution on the European stage. In the past, critics said Arsenal folded under pressure. Now, their pressing and counter-attacking identity has become their strength, their signature. This wasn't luck nor opportunism. It was the product of a clear, deliberate plan. From the defensive discipline that smothered Bilbao's usual patterns to the cold-blooded timing of their counters, Arsenal looked seasoned and streetwise. Bilbao tried to overwhelm them with fire, but instead it was Arsenal who doused the flames, twice over, with ice-cold precision. Arsenal's 2-0 victory over Athletic Bilbao was far more than just 3 points in the Champions League group stage. It carried layers of tactical and psychological significance. First, it underlined their resilience away from home. San Mams, one of Europe's most intimidating fortresses, has swallowed up plenty of giants with its relentless pressing and ferocious atmosphere. Yet Arsenal showed they could withstand the storm, imposing order with discipline and control. Second, it was a testament to the squad's depth. Without Saka and Odegaard, their 2 creative cornerstones, Arsenal still found answers through collective balance. The impact of Martinelli and Trossard from the bench was decisive, proof that Arteta has options to rotate and adapt. In a long, grueling season, that flexibility is priceless. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, this win sent a clear message. Arsenal are no longer just about playing beautiful, attacking football. They've become a side that knows how to win tough games. They can defend patiently, strike ruthlessly in key moments, and manage matches with the cold efficiency of genuine contenders. At Champions League level, where margins are razor-thin, these details make all the difference. Put simply, 3 points at San Mams did more than keep Arsenal top of the group. It strengthened the belief that this team has the maturity and mentality to go deep in Europe.